Welcome back into NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It is time for our Week 2 NFL Power Rankings. We're going to go 32-1, just like we're going to do for pretty much every week here on Chat Sports. At the bottom, still, unfortunately, I apologize, Trace, the Saints check in at the bottom spot. They were not a unanimous worst team in the NFL, but they do check in at the bottom of this week's Power Rankings. We'll spend some more time today on the number 31 team, the Miami Dolphins, during today's live show because, boy, there are some extremely valid concerns right now with that Dolphins organization. They drop 10 spots from last week's rankings from number 21 down to number 31. The Giants at number 30 also wasn't the best showing. 6 points on offense. Defense wasn't as good as the 21 points allowed might say. The Giants check in there at number 30. And then Carolina checks in here at number 29 on the rankings. They head in the wrong direction a little bit. Didn't think that was that great of a game from Bryce Young, but he started last year kind of slow. So hopefully that continues to be better as the season goes along. Now, if you want us to do weekly NFL Power Rankings every Tuesday morning here on Chat Sports, show it by liking the video. We got to almost 400 likes on last year's Week 2 Power Rankings. Let's beat it this time around. Like the video if you haven't already done so. Free, simple, easy to do. Appreciate every single one of you who will like today's show. The Titans, who I thought they had a chance to win that game, and honestly probably should have won that game against the Denver Broncos. Despite the loss, they actually move up a little bit, a couple spots, to 28. I do worry a little bit about Brian Callahan. Another team who lost but moved up a little bit, the Cleveland Browns, number 27 now on our power rankings. I will make note there's a bit of a gap between the bottom 6 teams and some of the others, so I think that does make some sense. Browns showed a lot of better stuff. It's also the Bengals week 1. We'll talk about that side of it later, but defense was awesome. The Patriots, number 26. The Josh McDaniels revenge game went in favor of the Raiders, who we'll get to here in a little bit. Still some inconsistencies they certainly need to iron out. Another team that lost but moved up slightly were the New York Football Jets. They're 25 this week. They were 28 last week. They, again, almost beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. That would have been a pretty impressive run. I think there were some even in a loss, some positive things I think you can build on from the Jets side of things. The Colts at 24. They move up a bunch of spots. They won. They deserve to. They're narrowly behind, or I should say in front of the Jets in the Chat Sports AP poll style voting. Daniel Jones played really well. I'm not sure I'm buying that long term, but because it might have been a Dolphins-focused issue, but credit is to Indy for sure. The Falcons at 23. They moved down a couple of spots. I'm sorry, Falcons fans. That sucks. It was a great game as an objective, impartial observer, but also very frustrating when you get so close and you should have won the game, and Michael Penix made 2 just like full extension plays to keep his team alive, and then the kicker failed you. That's never a fun thing. All right, a 2-part ask on today's pinned comment. Shout out your team and where they should be ranked. So, for example, Eagles 1 if you're Chase Sr., right? That's how it goes, right? Raiders, I'm sure 5 for Mitchell Renz. But shout out your team and where they should be ranked. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. The Cardinals at 22. This is our first team with a win. Again, it is AP poll, so you're not just going to rank them all the top half are 1-0, bottom half are 2-0. That's not really fair nor reasonable. Narrowly ahead of Atlanta. It's the Saints. They move up, a spot. I think that's reasonable given who they beat. The Bears at 21. I was watching all the voters do some of their early voting, and at halftime or after the Nahshon Wright pick, the Bears were going to be a consensus top 15 team. And then, I'm sorry, Bears fans. I know that's not fun to have your hearts ripped out again in a new excruciating way. The Bears dropped down to 21 in the consensus rankings. They're smack dab, really voting-wise, between the Cardinals at 22 and the Jags at 20. Can we learn that much from a win over the Panthers? Probably not, but I don't think Trevor Lawrence played that well. and they won kind of easily. And that doesn't happen very much for Jacksonville. Some of these teams that are in this bottom 15 range or average range, like if the quarterback doesn't play great, they don't win, period. It's actually probably a promising sign there for Jacksonville. The Seahawks drop a few spots here as they drop down to number 19. They were right smack dab in the middle at 16 going into the week. Still don't know what to make of Seattle. Maybe you would have been better off not kicking that field goal late. The Raiders up 6 spots. Thought Geno played some great ball. There were a couple down plays for sure, but the good version of Geno Smith very much showed up for Vegas, who at minimum is going to be a much more competitive team under Pete Carroll and Geno and Genti and Myers and everyone else than what they were on a too consistent basis in recent years. Today's show is made possible by Ethos. As a father with one kid and a second one on the way, trust me when I say life insurance matters. It's not fun to think about what would happen if something happened to you, but you do need to be prepared. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry, and it's more affordable than you might think. Ethos is an online platform that makes getting life insurance fast and easy to protect your family's future in minutes, not months. There is no complicated process, and it's 100% online. No medical exam is required. You just answer a few health questions and get his quote in as little as 10 minutes. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/NFL Daily. That's ethos.com/NFL Daily. Links in the comments section and the description of today's show. So the Cowboys check in here at number 17. And I want to make note of how we do our voting here at Chat Sports. It's AP poll style, so everyone's votes get counted. I put the average together. Jacksonville's average voting was 19.54. The Cowboys' average voting was 19. Just no difference whatsoever between these two teams. Seattle 19.5, Raiders 19.42. Atlanta, Arizona, Chicago were all 20.6 to 20.25. So the difference here between, the 23rd team and the 17th team is basically zero, which I think is pretty reasonable because it's not clear how that grouping is going to sort out. The Cowboys lost, but I thought they played much better than what most people expected. So there was a huge gap between 17 and 16. The gap between 17 and 16 is about the same as the gap between 16 and 12. Like it's incredible. There's a huge tier break right here. And I am surprised Houston dropped down to 16. I thought C.J. Stroud played a really good game. I like how Dak did. The numbers weren't great, but they played well on an individual level. I'm not out on Houston by any stretch. The biggest surprise this week for me with just the AP poll style voting, and again, the difference here between 15 and 10 is smaller than the gap between 17 and 16. The Lions are at 15. I am surprised they dropped as far as they did in these AP poll style rankings. I still put Detroit as the top 15 team, or top 13 team, I should say, just how the tiering kind of broke down there. I think there are some concerns. The offense didn't look as good. The defense didn't look as good. There were concerns going in of how are you going to handle all the coordinator losses? Maybe Green Bay's just a really good football team. I'm not going to overreact to Detroit. I still think they're going to put themselves in playoff contention. Be honest with me, folks. What is your concern level over the Detroit Lions? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. 1 on the low end, 10 on the high end. Denver, a little shaky. They did not change at all in their spot in the power rankings. They also weren't great week 1. Last year, Bo Nix had some issues, so I like their odds against the Colts. I still believe in Denver. I'm not as high on Pittsburgh. They do jump up 3 spots, relative to the rest of the voting, I should say. I had them. I had the Lions ahead of Pittsburgh. I essentially flipped those two teams, basically. But a win is a win. It was a strong start. I actually liked a lot of what I saw from the offense from Aaron Rodgers and company, even though that final drive was – you should go back and watch it if you didn't. It was objectively kind of funny how they got there. But Pittsburgh, all they did was win 9 games every year. That's all they do. The Niners, we'll see how badly Brock Purdy's hurt. Let's put it that way. They might give Christian McCaffrey 50 touches this week. Like, George Kittle's now banged up. Juwan Jennings getting a CT scan. Like, I think Jennings will be okay. But they're banged up again somehow. But they're a good team. Like, the defense played really well against Seattle, too. Minnesota. Fourth quarter Minnesota is the best team in football. First three-quarter Minnesota is like the 25th best team in football. And in the end, they're 11, which I think is very fair. They move up several spots. What a finish on Monday Night Football. How lucky are we as football fans to have 2 bonkers good finishes on Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football? Tip of the cap there to Minnesota. Tampa checks in at number 10. A little shaky at times against the Falcons. Some penalties that I thought maybe weren't penalties. Speaking of penalties, that holding call on the Bears was a joke. It was not a holding call. It was a terrible, terrible call. That's just a snatch trap. I think people call it splash technique. I call it snatch trap. That's all it was. It was perfect. It was perfectly done. Anyway, Tampa. Emeka Egbuka played really well. I'm very, very impressed by him. Baker was a little bakery in a good and bad way, but Tampa should still be the favorite in the NFC South. The Bengals at number 9. They move up slightly in our power rankings. And I've seen people like, wow, they were bad again in week 1. Yes, but they won. The Bengals normally lose that game. They probably should have lost that game if the kicker didn't kicker for Cleveland. This is a Bengals team that is always bad in September. Like, we know that. They're never, at this point, going to be a good September team. But to gut out an ugly win is a hell of a lot better than losing ugly. So I actually give the Bengals credit for winning that game. That was the difference last year. You lost to a crappy Patriots team in week 1. This year, you beat them. That Bengals team would have made the playoffs if they'd beaten the Patriots early. The Chiefs slide down several spots here. They were number 4. They dropped down to number 8. Another big tier gap here, by the way, between the number 9 team and the number 8 team. The difference is pretty comparable from 9 to 8 to 8 to 6. Like, there's tiering here, and I'll continue to mention that. Banged up again on offense. Chiefs still be a playoff team. It's the Chiefs. It's Mahomes. Like, they'll get it figured out. But, man, they need to get healthy and explosive more in the passing game quickly. Appreciate every single one of you who has already subscribed to us here at Chat Sports. Hope you've enjoyed the Monday Night Football stream, the Red Zone streams as well. Keep on subbing. 415K is our next number. We're just over 500 away. Hit that sub button for more free NFL YouTube videos. Number 7, the Los Angeles Rams. It wasn't exactly the prettiest game between the Texans, but a win is a win over, I think, a team that is going to be pretty solid there. Rams move up 1 spot to number 7 on our rankings. Also moving up 1 spot, the Commanders at number 6. I think the game was more in hand for Washington than the score may have indicated. They also didn't start great week 1 last year. It might just be their thing. We'll see. I don't want to overreact to week 1 way or the other. The Chargers jump up several spots. That was a hell of a game from Justin Herbert if you forgot about the Friday Night Football action. Liked what I saw from L.A. Very impressive. Herbert making some big-time plays. Maybe Jim Harbaugh is the best thing that could have happened to him. The highest-ranked team with the loss, I think, is actually reasonable given how good the Ravens looked and how good we think the Bills are going to be this year. Not everyone had them as high as 4. There was very narrow between them and the Chargers at 5. I think the Ravens are still going to be a good team, but they are going to have to mentally recover from that heartbreaking loss. Green Bay up 3 spots from 6 to 3. That team is going to be good this year. As long as Jordan Love stays healthy, I think there's going to be a lot of people picking the Green Bay Packers to at least make it to the NFC Championship game this upcoming season. Very strong showing out of the Packers. All right, so Packers check in at number 3. Number 2, then, is the Buffalo Bills. They move up 1 spot, which I think the top 3 is... I don't think there should be that much debate over it. Buffalo with a hell of a comeback win on Sunday Night Football. And then your defending champs remain at the top spot. The Philadelphia Eagles 1-0 this season. Until they lose, I will not be dropping them from the top spot. It was not unanimous, but the Eagles, until they lose, the consensus here, so to speak, is they're the top team in the NFL. So grade our Week 2 NFL Power Rankings, and if you just want to go A because you like where we ranked you, or not because you like where we ranked you, that's fine. But sound off for me in the comment section of today's show, A, B, C, D, or F.